Hi friends, it's Rabbi Briskin with a thought for Shabbat. What's in a name? This week's Torah portion called Shalach Lecha teaches us lessons about the weight that our names carry. And why do the Israelites wander in the desert for 40 years after leaving Egypt? This week's portion also provides the answer. First, about the wandering. Now, the people are on the threshold of the Promised Land, just 2 years into their journey. However, they do not know what lays ahead. So at their bidding, at the people's bidding, Moses sends 12 scouts to reconnoiter the Promised Land. And when they return, in addition to providing an objective report about what they saw, they also color it with their own subjective observations. 10 of the 12 scouts return discouraged. The text says, the people are powerful. Their towns are fortified and very large, and the people who live there are huge. We must have looked like grasshoppers to them. How many times has God stood by their side? And still the Israelites lack faith? At that moment of doubt and fear, God realized that this generation of Israelites, those who were freed from slavery in Egypt, would never be able to live free in the Promised Land. So for the next 38 years, they wandered, waiting for all but 2 members of the generation born into slavery to die, and the new generation born into freedom to have the courage and faith to enter the Promised Land. Now, who were the 2 permitted to enter the land? Caleb and Joshua. And why them? Because they were the only 2 who responded to the objective report of the scouts with a sense of optimism and confidence. They saw themselves not as grasshoppers, but rather as powerful and capable. Have no fear of the people, they exhorted. But it fell on deaf ears, and the entire community found itself in a crisis once again. So what did God and Moses see in Caleb and especially Joshua? It's all about one small Hebrew letter, the letter Yud. And this is the lesson about the weight that our names carry. Moses changed the name of Hosea ben Nun to Joshua, Yehoshua. Why? Well, of course, the text does not say. However, Midrash and commentators do. For example, the 10th century sage Rashi suggests that the name Yehoshua is a compound of God's name, Yah, and Hosea, thereby creating Yehoshua, indicating that Moses was actually praying for him, asking for God to save him from the evil counsel of the spies. Now, why would Moses pray for Joshua to be protected from the other spies? Well, perhaps God and Moses sensed that scouting the land would end in disaster. This premonition may be why Moses wanted to invest Hosea with a greater level of faith and godliness. Perhaps Moses is preparing Joshua for the inevitable failure of the scouting mission and for the success of his future mission to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. Hosea ben Nun at this point is a trusted advisor to Moses and part of his inner leadership team. Now as Yehoshua, he has risen in stature. Our names often shed light on our true essence. When Moses changed Hosea's name to Joshua, Yehoshua, he took that investiture to build upon his extant leadership skills and even military prowess. Hosea was always confident. Now, knowing that his name contains God's name and God's presence, he is even more suited to face the future with confidence and strength. And friends, this lesson applies to us today. We may not necessarily carry the letters of God's name in us, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the fullness of God's presence in us, flowing through us. So we should all be bold and strong and confident and courageous and carry our names with strength and honor. Shabbat Shalom. Looking forward to seeing you at services.